Good stuff. So, welcome everybody to Disruptors Club, and our guest today is Rene. Now, Rene asked me not to introduce him as an expert, right? Just like I don't like being referred to as a business coach because I don't think I am. Rene said, "Do not introduce me as an expert," and that got us talking, right? And it's really interesting because with AI, there isn't any experts because the definition of an expert is somebody that's has got around 10,000 hours in their craft, in your trade, and then you can call them an expert. Um, and nobody's got that, such as the pace of change with AI. So we've agreed that Rene is an AI specialist, right? An AI specialist. And some of the stuff that Rene's shown me already is incredible, right? And I met up with Rene. When was that event? That was the beginning of the year, but May time we did that event, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
when we talked then, a lot of the stuff now is kind of old hat, such as the pace of change with AI, and even what was originally going to be in this event, in this program, has changed already. So I'm really looking forward to tonight because I'm using AI, but I don't think I'm using it anywhere near its full potential. So I will shut up and hand over to Rennie to take over. And if you've got any questions, just stick them in the chat box, and I'll do my best to navigate these as we go. Rennie, the
yep.
expert, over to
Oh
you.
no, oh no. I actually said, don't call me an expert, call me a
Yes,
specialist, but a digital
specialist.
specialist, a digital specialist. I've been working in digital for the last 20 years. Next May, I think, is 20 years in digital. And and especially with AI, I would say that there are hardly any experts. To be honest, I learn every day with AI because the speed of change is remarkable. So in this first slide, I've got a couple of slides just to set the scene. And I love interaction, so don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat and I'll put the chat up here so you can see that. Or just unmute yourself and ask that question. I love that interaction. So I've got a couple of slides, and then I will share my experience with AI, how I am using it, the tools that I'm using it, and I'm also very, very interested how other people are using AI in their business. And indeed, I've added 10, what is it? 10 pounds to Stuart with AI, Simon. So yeah, sure enough, the first slides, I said to Stuart, I said, remember that day we had a pint, and he was sort of looking confused. And sure enough, we never had that pint. I think Stuart, in next year we definitely should get a date and get that pint. Um,
Definitely.
and basically, what I did was having two profile pictures, not even a full sort of size. So my profile picture that I use on LinkedIn, and I went to Stuart's LinkedIn profiles, downloaded it, and used Nano Banana. Nano Banana is one of the first AI tools that I mentioned tonight. So Nano Banana is a Google product and is very good in creating images, visuals, and videos that are very realistic, as you can see. And once I go away from the slides, I will show you some other sort of images and videos that I created with Nano Banana. Feel free to take notes. I also have it on the screen later on. So, like I said, and in that photo, I think you already had a pint before I joined you, Stuart. I see an empty glass. I could have said to AI, remove that empty glass, but I thought, oh, this is quite a nice talking point. Anyway,
It
So
knows
let's
me
have.
so well, Rennie. Isn't that amazing? AI must have researched me.
So first of all, I had a couple of questions. What I normally do when I deliver an AI webinar or training or presentation, I want to know the audience because it really makes a difference if you're talking to beginners, people that have never used it, and yes, there are still people that have never used it, or the more experienced people. And looking at the polls or the questions that I've asked, I would say 95% of people, when on the first question, what is your current use of AI? Most of you said I use it regularly in my business. So that's good to know for me because that means I can skip the beginning. But although one or two were people that are just starting with it. So don't hesitate to ask questions if I'm going too high level. I don't think I will, but if I'm going too fast or you have a question about something that don't hesitate to share that with me. The biggest concern, getting poor or inaccurate results. I'm not surprised to see that in the feedback that I got. People that have been using AI, ChatGPT for a long time might have heard of the term hallucinations. It makes things up. When it makes things up in AI terms, it's called an hallucination, and it's definitely an issue with AI. And but it also depends on how you're using AI, the prompts, the task that you give it. Is that sufficient enough to for AI to give you proper results? Competitors moving faster has been mentioned a couple of times, and also again not knowing where to start. And again, I'm not surprised to hear that because you've got the different platforms, ChatGPT, Copilot, etc. And on that point, if you can put in the chat the platforms that you're using. So if you're using ChatGPT, let me know. If you're using Copilot, if you're using Perplexity, ChatGPT, thanks Haley and Phil, Copilots, Perplexity, Claude, yeah, Claude, fantastic, Paula, thank you. ChatGPT seems to be the most popular one. And that was the one that sort of came out with it in November 2022. I discovered ChatGPT in December 2022 on TikTok, funny enough. I'm way too old to be on TikTok, but I do love it. It gives me lots of useful tips on digital, and I think there's lots of sort of other things that I like I said, I learn every day on digital and especially on AI. So played with ChatGPT during the Christmas period, which was beautiful because I had plenty of time to try it out, and brought it to my team in January when we had our first team meeting. And I was very enthusiastic. And I said, look at this, guys. This is amazing what you can do with AI and everything. And Emma, our content creator, basically said, this is my job gone. And I said, nope, definitely not. This is a tool for your job. And actually, I'm going to pay for the paid version of ChatGPT because ChatGPT is free, but you have a paid version, £20 a month. Because your to-do list is long, just as my to-do list. Having a tool that enables you to do a lot more, be more effective, be more productive, is definitely a benefit for the business. After a week using ChatGPT, she indeed came back to say, I was totally wrong. This saves me a lot of time in that sense. What takes most of your time? That was question number 3. And it's indeed the admin and paperwork, planning and decision making. In my business, I have to write a lot of reports, proposals, and all that sort of stuff. We talked about note takers in the webinar just now. Every meeting I have with a client, indeed Fireflies joins. At the end of the meeting, I make myself a cup of tea. When I come back, an email comes in. Here is your summary of the meeting, the transcript of your meeting. And I actually upload the whole transcript of the meeting to ChatGPT. I've trained my own version of ChatGPT because that's what you can do with ChatGPT and the different sort of platforms, that you can make it your own tone of voice, the own way of writing things. So it becomes more of your content instead of an American version of it. And that saves me hours in the day, to be honest. Okay. I see a lot of similarities with 20 years ago. We started with social media in 2006. And I'll answer that question as well from Stuart. Facebook started in 2004. They opened themselves up to the UK market in 2006. That's when we started Two Minds, our business. And 20 years ago, a lot of business owners were hesitant, not being open to this platform where people share their lunch, what they were doing that day. Only saw the negatives. However, the businesses that thought, hey, this could be a useful tool, marketing tool, got the experience, got the knowledge, and you always have early adopters, and those early adopters definitely got the sort of the benefit of using it earlier than the later followers. It created new jobs. I mean, we didn't have social media managers 20 years ago. We didn't have influencers 20 years ago. Now we have. Today, new jobs are created. Prompt engineer in America is a well-paid job because it depends how you ask the question, the prompt in AI, what sort of outcome you get. The better the input, the better the output. Rubbish in, rubbish out, same principle. Um, However, the speed of change is 10 times faster than 20 years ago. So that's what I always say to people, it's definitely the longer you wait, the more knowledge and experience your competitor gets with the platforms and everything. I'm not going to read everything that's on the screen. You can read that yourself. By the way, my slides are created by AI platform number 2 that I mentioned, Gamma, Gamma, Gamma. And I used to use, well, PowerPoint. Then I moved from PowerPoint to Canva. Canva.com creates wonderful slides as well. Now I'm using Gamma, and I will give you some demos of how to do that. It creates slide decks within minutes. For people that have to create slide decks, you know what it's like. You spend half a day, if not most of the day, on creating slides, getting the content, getting the visuals, and all that sort of stuff. I created this within 15 minutes. I needed to tweak it, so I spent a little bit more time on it, but it's definitely a sort of a wonderful tool to have a look at it. And again, I pay for it. They have a free version. All these things have a free version, but I pay, I think it's £15 a month for it. So it's very accessible to small business owners like myself. What else? The changes, social media changed how we market our business. We all of a sudden had an extra tool, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, to promote our business. What AI brings us, it changes how we run our business, how we decide things, how we write things, and everything. So that's one of the changes that we have. It can do a lot of marketing and communications. No doubt you will use AI to create documents, respond to emails, and funny enough, I do get responses to my emails that are actually written in AI with the M dash. You see the sort of the long dash very often. And we seem to go to a phase where people are not talking to each other, but AI bots are talking to each other, which is a weird phenomenon. Customer service chatbots have been around for a long time, but now they're coming a lot better. I was saying to Stuart, I have a decorator in the house, and I asked him about, are you using AI? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I use it to communicate with my customers, frequently asked questions through Messenger, through email, and all that sort of stuff. A lot of admin can be done a lot quicker with AI, and a lot of decision making as well. The main platforms, I would say, are on the screen. 90% of the time, I tend to use ChatGPT for most of the daily work. And again, I said to Stuart before, a year ago, I probably said I use AI every day. Now I use it every hour, if not every half an hour. My work has completely changed because of AI. I'm a lot more effective. The quality of my work has gone up, the quality of reporting, the quality of proposals, because they're much more professional in that sense. I didn't see Gemini in people saying what they're using. I did see Claude. Gemini is Google sort of things, and that usually comes up when you do a Google search on something. There is an AI bit at the top that's powered by Gemini as well. A lot of businesses that we now work with, they used to ask, how can we be on page 1 of Google? How can we promote? How can we optimize our SEO, search engine optimization? Now they're asking, how can we be listed in the top bit, the AI bit, and that's called GEO, generative optimization. And that's another sort of way of looking at your website as well. Claude is standing on its own, is not owned by one of the bigger players like Microsoft or Google, owned by itself. And a lot of coders, people, my wife is a coder, software engineer, they're using Claude. So all these platforms have slightly different use cases in that sense. Perplexity was also not mentioned. Perplexity is great for research. Copilot, Microsoft. Grok is Elon Musk, his toy, and it's again great for images and videos. And Notebook LM. Is anyone using Notebook LM? Love to hear. Put it in the chat or on mute yourself. I will give you a demo of Notebook because it's absolutely amazing. Stuart asked me for AI video tools as well. Phil is saying, I like Claude when researching. Yep, it seems to give good responses and ideas. Absolutely. Try Grok and Perplexity. Yeah. And that's the advice I would give it. Try the different ones, and you definitely get different results. And like I said, I use ChatGPT 90% of the time, but today I've used Perplexity and I've used Gemini as well for different things. And you do tend to get different results as well. And there is always the competition between those players about ChatGPT is now 5.2, which is beating Gemini 3.0. But no doubt next week, Gemini will come up with Gemini 4.0, which is better than ChatGPT and everything. So there's this constant sort of improvement with AI, which I think is phenomenal and exciting as well. Have a look at Kling AI, Google Veo 3. Sora is wonderful as well, although not really available in UK unless you pay a lot of money. And Runway as well. Midjourney does the same thing as well. I'm actually gonna go out the slides and share with you the platforms that I've used. So Stuart was asking, and I don't see the screen that I'm sharing. So let me know, Stuart, if I'm not sharing five thumbnails on the screen.
Yeah, what we can see is the all five thumbnails together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. You asked me how did you create that photo of us having a beer in a pub? That was Nano Banana.
Excellent.
That actually recently rebranded into uh, image. What is it? Image.art. Image.art. So image.art is where you can create photos, you can create videos, and they always have a sale on. So basically, from this image, I then and it looks like you shared a fantastic joke with me, and I, I was just I was just saying to Stuart as well. When I did this last year, people had 6 fingers, the nose that was slightly off, or the eyes that looked a bit strange. But now it's very difficult to see if this is a real picture or if it's AI in that sense. So scary in that sense. But I thought this one was quite nice because it showed that empty glass. And like I said, you can, if you don't like it, you can sort of optimize that as well. So that's the tool that I used. Um, Gamma, gamma.app is where I created this presentation. I'm going to give you a live demonstration actually of what you can do with Gamma. So with Gamma, you can import a PDF or a PowerPoint presentation or a document, anything that you have, or you can paste in text. And I'm going to use that one. And you can create a presentation or a document or a social media post. But let's go for presentation. And I'm gonna type in some text here. But before I do that, let me see if I can share uh, this one. Yeah, right. I'll bring in something here. So now you should see ChatGPT. And this is a way of me using or optimizing my prompts. So what I mentioned before is it really depends how strong your prompt is, your task that you give it AI. And I was part of a panel, and there was a lady in Edinburgh who was also a specialist who said, and I think it's quite a nice sort of way of describing AI, see AI as an intern that's not really good yet. So you need to give it context in that sense. So the difference of me writing prompts now compared to last year or even a couple of months ago is instead of thinking, what task should I give AI? I'm actually going to have a conversation with it. So as you can see here, and I hope you can see it, I need a strong prompt to make a presentation in Gamma about how businesses can protect themselves against cyber attacks. The target audience is business owners. What info do you need from me to create a strong prompt. So then ChatGPT comes back to say, okay, if you want to have a professional, relevant, and practical presentation, this is what I need to know about you, about the audience, the purpose, the depth, the structure, the content, etc. And I answered all those questions, as you can see here. It says, great, it's clear. It's, as you might have noticed, it's very friendly AI. It always says, great idea, Rene. And here is a prompt that you can use for Gamma, tailored to your audience, delivery style, and branding. You can paste this straight into Gamma. And this saved me a lot of time as well. So now I've got a fabulous prompt, which I actually copied before. So I now go back to Gamma and put in that long prompt, create a 15-slide professional presentation, blah, blah, blah. Generate notes or an outline, or keep the text like it is, preserve this text. So I said, okay, turn rough ideas into outlines, continue to the prompt editor, and then you get a choice. Do you want it detailed? Do you want it extensive, concise, or minimal? Let's go a little bit concise. I want 15 cards. And then it starts working at my presentation. It will come up with the content. It come up with the photos. And this would save me hours in the day. Obviously, I'm not going to save it and that's it, job done. Make another cup of tea. I'm going to go into it and then obviously tweak it, make it my own, and all that sort of stuff. But this is what it can do. It comes up with case studies, and it does it in a format that's quite easy to understand. And I find it fascinating that it can do anything that that you want it to do. It could be documents, it could be a web page, it could be a slide deck in this case, and the speed that it does it with is phenomenal. So it's not the standard ChatGPT. This is called Gamma, gamma.app. Gamma.app. I'll actually open up incognito window, gamma.app. You can always start for free, and it's great for, like I said, slide decks, documents. When I now send out documents to my clients, tutorials, for example, tutorials are very often sort of boring, sort of 4 pages of how to do stuff. Now I upload that to Gamma, and it creates a beautiful sort of visual appealing document for it. So here we go. And I find it fascinating how it does that. You can obviously change the text, you can change the layout, you can change the colors, you can talk with AI, you know, fix the spelling, simplify it, add an image. I mean, the tools available now for any business is phenomenal. So that is Gamma. I use it very often. The other thing I would like to mention is Google AI Studio. Talk to Gemini Live. What I find fascinating about this is you can share your screen and it looks at your screen. And so for example, my website is WordPress, and I'm quite confident with WordPress. I can do stuff with WordPress, but sometimes I'm not an expert. Sometimes I come across a problem that I can't solve. So what you can then do is you share your screen. So let me have a look. I will share that screen. And a lady will join and will help me with the problem that I envisage in that sense. I can't see where she is now. Here we go. Google AI Studio. So for example, hi, I've got a problem with my slide deck. Can you help with that?
Sure, I can help with your slide. This slide talks about who's at risk and who benefits most.
I'm going to stop that now. Could you hear that? Because I'm not always. Yeah. Okay. So I use it a lot of times. So, for example, in Google Analytics, Google Analytics is a good example. GA4, Google Analytics 4 is a nightmare. I can't always find what I'm looking for. So I have my screen on, and then I open up Google AI Studio, and I ask it, this is my screen. I am struggling with finding the information. It will say, oh yeah, that's right. You need to click on the the bit on the right, top right. You will see. It's like having a teacher um, overlooking your shoulder, over your shoulder, giving you sort of the thing. So again, I find it fascinating. I better stop it because she's still listening. I see. There we go. But yeah, I mean, fascinating. The other tools I'm using, Notebook LM. Notebook LM is beautiful. You can basically upload, and I'm going to use this. No, not that one. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to use this one. Because the problem is that it came up with the questions as well, is the security and what are you sharing with AI and everything. So Notebook LM is not the PDFs that I upload are not sort of shared in that sense. It's basically it's like almost like Copilot. Microsoft is sort of a your own private environment and everything. So you can upload PDFs and you can then sort of ask questions about this is a big PDF, it's 42 pages, and it gives a wonderful overview of Scottish attractions, how they can optimize getting more donations using QR codes, mobile phone payments, and all that sort of stuff. But it's 42 pages. So what you can do, and I don't know if you ever used it, you can make it into a video overview, you can make it into a mind map or an infographic, or again, a slide deck. You can also create an audio overview. So if I click on play, you should hear two Americans having a conversation about that PDF. Let's see if that works. At the moment, it doesn't do anything, I see. No, because the sound is not on. And you can make that interactive as well. So I don't know why that is not. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, there we go. No, it doesn't do it in that sense. And I actually used it. It was 42 pages, and I didn't have time to read 42 pages, so I downloaded the sound file, uploaded it to my phone, and while I was driving in my car for 2 hours, I was listening to that PDF with a lot of useful information in that sense. So I use it for a lot of things, as you can see. I need to write a lot of digital reviews. All these reviews are in here. There's a lot of information, and I can access that information by asking what should a jewelry business do on Instagram? They never used it. So over the years, I have written lots of recommendations, reports, and everything, but finding that in my Google Drive, what advice have I given 2 years ago to a jewelry business is very difficult to do that. So I've uploaded all those reviews into Notebook LM, and I can ask it any question. Some people are uploading manuals to Notebook LM and then asking a question about that. So there's a lot of things you can do here as well. The other thing, and then I'll open it up to questions, is I created my own ChatGPT, which is called Report Writing Assistant. So you can, in the paid version, create your own GPT, which is trained on your content and your instructions. So for example, if I go to that one, Report Writing Assistant. Oh, not that one. There we go. I can edit it. This is a description, but this is important. The instructions. So if I make this a little bit bigger, you should summarize the meeting in a professional style. Write it in UK English. Always use the name of the client instead of writing the client. Always write in the first person. Highlight the recommendations. Don't make up things. Don't use the M dash, that's obviously an example of AI, and don't use the word leverage. I think someone has a question, or is it me putting my hand up by accident? I think it is me, actually. And when I can then upload some files, reports, in this case, reports. So I've written lots of reports, and I upload it to my own GPT to say, this is the structure of my report. So every report you write should follow the structure that I've given you in that sense. So you can and should actually write your own GPT, which you can do yourself in the Explore version, and you can create your own GPT that is trained on your instructions and everything. And on that note, I would also recommend, if you go to personalization, spend a little bit of time on instructing ChatGPT on how it should respond to you. And again, see if I can make this bigger, but probably not. Yeah, hopefully you can see that, but I've given it specific instructions, and I think that is very important to optimize the outcome of your prompts. Avoid jargon, explain simply when needed. Also tell a bit about yourself, what you can do. Always write in UK English, never make things up, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Let's see if there are any questions. Just got my PDF.
Michael's got his hand up.
Perfect. Michael. Hey,
Hi.
Michael. We
Hey.
met in person in Aberdeen.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. And yourself?
Good. Yeah, great.
So what's your question? Oh, I think you're frozen now.
Question is, can you get Zoom to work better with AI?
Yeah, he's definitely frozen.
Pro
Michael
mode.
is frozen.
Otherwise,
switch your cam off. Switch your cam off, and then that might save some bandwidth. Yeah, there we go. There we go. You're back.
Again.
Okay. So as far as the model, are you using auto, instant, thinking, or pro? And when are you doing that? Those are the modes that I have on my version of ChatGPT. Um, I didn't know if you switch between the modes or for certain things, and if you have any experience with
Yeah.
that.
I use the auto, the main one, 5.2. There is a lot of talk about the different models and everything, and it's actually very confusing. I mean, 20 years ago, well, 15 years ago probably, I said it's the wild west of social media. Now it's the wild west of AI. There's so many things happening and updates and everything. And I've done every day I do a lot of research about the different sort of legacy models of ChatGPT, what is better for this and what is better for that. It's, to be honest, is minimal, and there used to be a difference, let's say 6 months ago.
Right.
Now, when I listen to other sort of specialists in AI in America and everything, most of them say, the latest model is usually the one you should go for, in that
Right.
sense.
Yeah, because I've used that. I mean, I've been going back and forth between instant thinking and
Yeah,
I have a pro version too, which is like a long bake, but that takes a lot longer. But I have to
yeah,
find it. So I didn't know if you had any experience
yeah.
specifically with your favorite one. I've got mine on auto most of the time. So yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
me too. It will make a difference if you, for example, create a chatbot
Yeah.
that is trained on your website, your content, and everything. You don't need the latest version for that, but not because that creates a lot of tokens, if you like, and that becomes very expensive. So if you use it for your own sort of chatbot or for your own use, you don't necessarily need to use the latest version of ChatGPT or Gemini because it uses a lot of energy, it uses a lot of tokens, and then you go a lot of sort of developers, when they create the chatbots, you can downgrade the chatbot because then it becomes a lot cheaper to use it. But for everyday use, as where we use it for, I would suggest go for the latest version.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Excellent. Who was next with their hand up? Phil Kelt.
Hi, thanks, Rene. This has been really interesting. I'm quite intrigued about I've been trying to use AI for a while now, and I've been doing a few weekend courses and stuff like that on it. And one thing that I'm really keen to try and do is online courses. And I've seen people talking about being able to use AI for imitating them, so it would bring up an AI equivalent of
Yep.
themselves and actually speak in their
Yep.
voice as well.
Yep.
I have done courses after courses, and it's promising to show you how to do this, and not one of them's actually given me the information on what's actually out there that can actually do this properly. The ones that I've looked at have been really bad.
Yeah, I've seen those as well. There's actually a guy that I follow on TikTok and on YouTube. He created an AI version of himself, and he
Mm.
creates every day, I think, at least 3 or 4 videos
Okay.
automatically, and it looks like it's him, but it's actually an AI, and he's quite transparent about it. This is the AI version of, I forgot his
Yeah.
name. These tools are not cheap. They are £250 a month.
Right.
And there are platforms like 11 Labs,
Yeah.
you might have
Okay.
heard of, that are
Yeah.
using it. These are definitely not £20 per month sort of
Mm.
platforms that you
Uh-huh.
can use, because they are because that uh, is creating a lot of tokens, if you like. That is very
Yeah.
powerful in that sense. So there are tools. 11 Labs is one of them. I think Kling is another one that is using that
Okay.
as well. I've used another one, InDesign, but they're limited in the, let's say, the 20-25 per month. You can't really do. You're really talking about £250 a month. And for some
Right. Okay.
people that are the content creators, that works for them because they make money out of the TikTok
Yeah.
videos, the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
The good news is, well, yeah, the good news is that probably in 6 months' time, there will be a tool that is a lot cheaper, probably Google, that will say you can now create an AI version of yourself that
Okay.
is a lot more sort of cost effective in this way. So, yeah, keep on top of these things. It's definitely a sort of a way that is very interesting to. I would love to have Rene 2.0 doing an AI presentation and everything. And the same with you, Phil. That you know, uh, why spend all the time doing these things while you can actually instruct an AI version of yourself presenting a tool in that sense. So. Yeah, keep on top of the latest changes in these things. I wouldn't be surprised if in 6 months' time something will come that is a lot more cost effective.
Yeah, 'cause
Do
I
you
mean, it's to be honest,
recommend?
it's just
Do you
sorry.
recommend just now then, from what Phil was talking about there, what would you recommend for the likes of, Phil and myself that are maybe just looking for an entry level video creator, cost effective? What is the top choice just now, Rennie?
Yeah, go for the main brands at the moment. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. Sorry. It is that one, I think. So I would definitely have a look at, well, it was called Nano Banana till last week, I think, is now image.art, where you can create videos. Kling, Kling 2.6 here. I've got Kling here open as well. I
Yeah.
mean, this is phenomenal. Runway is another one. And the one that I really like, but it's not yet available in the UK, is VO3. Lots
Yes.
of these tools actually that are, and um, going back to Phil's question as well, I get very excited if I see. I need to get back to. Oh, are you still there? Yeah. I get very excited if I see TikTok videos and AI videos that creates an AI duplication of a person. They're not always available in the UK, so keep that in mind. A lot of these tools are available in limited sort of versions. They always test it out in the US, or funny enough, in India as well. I've heard from another sort of specialist, because the Indian market is huge, so they test it very out in the US, in the Indian market in that sense. Paul needs to leave. Sorry, I'm glad you found it interesting. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Rennie while we're waiting for hands to go up? Rennie, there's one thing that I noticed, and maybe this is just the cost of doing business, but I created a number of custom GPTs. A couple of them kind of score your business. It's got various questions it asks you about, are you the business? Can you take time off? And then it builds up a score towards the end. And it's really good. And I've tweaked it and it works really well. And as you would expect, I've also changed the script for it to be quite blunt, quite abrupt, and quite cheeky.
Yes.
And I've got a business valuation one as well, and they're all working really, really well. Big problem is I can go into Chat GPT and I can see how many people have used it, and those numbers are increasing and get up and up and up and up, but it doesn't tell me who's used it.
Yeah.
Right? I
No.
can get the number, but I can't see who. So from a lead magnet point of view, it ain't that good unless the person comes back. Now, Chat GPT did give me a fix, and it said, well, change the call to action then to something on your website or to email you a forum or something like that. And that to a degree works. But is there any way that you can get who's actually using your custom GPTs?
No, because that's I would say that goes against the privacy rules in that sense. So I don't think you can ever find out who's using your the what do you call that? The GPTs that you create. you can make it visible to the bigger sort of audience. It's like the App Store basically. Or you can use it just for yourself. So the report one that I create is just for myself, so nobody else can use it. But I could make it available to the bigger audience. I wouldn't be surprised, and that's what other people say as well. Within a year, there will be a sort of a type of app store, but then for custom GPTs that you can buy.
Good point.
And that would give you maybe a little bit more information about how many people looking at it. I would be very, very surprised if they make it available that you can see who used it, because that goes a little bit against the privacy and everything. But there are definitely sort of tools, and funny enough, I was working with my own website because we just published a social media calendar that we give out every year, and people can go to our website and click on the download button. And I went to Google Tag Manager, which is quite, I wouldn't say complicated, but if you haven't used it for a while, you definitely need to go in. And I actually use Google AI Studio to say, this is the outcome that I'm looking for, but I'm stuck with this. I'm sharing my screen. How can I make it possible that when people click on that button, it is counted as an event and all that? So again, I can see how many people have downloaded, but I can't see who have downloaded it.
Got you. Zaffa had asked a question there. Is there any specific type of hardware requirements? Not any hardware requirements, is there?
That's the beauty of AI. Not really.
Laptop and off you go.
Yeah, exactly. It's the investment in hardware is minimal, I would say. And I'll come back to it because there is something for the new trends. So one of the question is from you, Stuart, what's next? And I have a nice sort of example of that. However, you don't really need to invest in expensive hardware. That's why it's become so popular, because anyone with a browser and a connection can use AI in this. And you don't need expensive hardware for that. I'll give you one more sort of an idea about how to optimize the outcome of your prompt in that sense. So I'm going to share my screen with you again. So it's coming back to videos, because once you want to create videos, you need to actually make a script. So am I sharing ChatGPT again? I think I am. Yeah, okay. So again, instead of me thinking about a script, asking to VO3 or Nano Banana for a video, my first port of call is indeed ChatGPT. Create a prompt that I can use for an AI video creation tool. The prompt I have is very minimal. Create a dynamic video about the transition from how a man runs a business just now, busy speaking to customers. And then the next one would be he's watching television from his home while his business is run by robots. That's a very poor prompt, and you get a poor outcome. However, if you ask ChatGPT create a prompt, it comes up with, this is the scene, and very, very detailed. I would never come up with that. And again, it's basically copying that script. And then go to, what did I use for that? I actually used Gemini for that. So here we go. This was my prompt, the expanded prompt. Here we go. And then Google creates a video of it. And these videos are very short, 8 seconds, because that is the sort of I'm just going to stop that. But that's what you get if you start using AI as a tool to optimize your prompts, and that's how I'm using it now, and the outcome is so much better in that sense.
Excellent.
Okay, I'll just go back to the slides because you want to know what's next. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, Phil's put an interesting comment in there about being on an Eventbrite for network marketing. And he's curious if the person hosting the Zoom call can use AI to add false comments into the chat of the live call. Now that's interesting, Phil. Interesting to see what Rene says, because I was on an absolute terrible webinar a couple of months ago for supposedly for how to use LinkedIn for lead generation, and it was nothing more than 90 minutes of sales torture, right? And we're all these people coming in with comments, go, oh yeah, yeah, this is good, right? And it was just so false, right? But the chat was full of it, right? And I just left, right? Because yes, there must be. I don't know how you do it. Maybe Rennie will know, but there is absolutely must be ways you can do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's I'll come back to that because it's actually quite a good question indeed. Very quickly, because I'm aware of time as well. I always say to people, people say, what is the ROI of social media, the return of investment of social media? And I then said, that's a very good question, but what is the return on investment of businesses putting their logo and their name on football pitches on those sort of big boards? What is the ROI of that? You can't measure it, but still people pay a lot of money to do it. I think the risk, the ROI is more about not doing it. That is a danger for these things. And if I go very quickly, what's next? AI agents was mentioned. I think it was Stuart that mentioned it at the beginning. AI agents. AI agents are different than using ChatGPT in that sense, because you give ChatGPT a task. AI agents can do things without human interaction. So you can actually say, and I've done that actually. I went to ChatGPT, created an agent, and said, every day, every morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I want you to send me an email with the latest updates in AI. And every day, funny enough, I get an email with the latest updates on AI. So AI agents are doing things without human interaction, which sounds scary, but it's actually quite helpful. What you will also find is that, yes, ChatGPT is using AI, Gemini, and all that sort of stuff, but Zero, for example, my accounting program has now AI integrated. Copper, my CRM, has AI integrated. So you will see a lot more AI integration in the tools that you're already using, and it's embedded everywhere. The next, and it's already here actually, and that's to do with risk. What happens when you upload a PDF to ChatGPT or Copilot or Perplexity or Claude or all that sort of stuff? Who's reading that? And so there's definitely sort of security issue, data security issue. What will happen is you can actually create your own large language model. That's basically what ChatGPT is, LLM. And that's where you need the expensive hardware for. So, for example, if you buy a PC for £1,500, for example, that is not connected to your internet, but you download ChatGPT on it, you can use it within your own home, your own office, without going online, and still using AI. The other development is what they call small language model. So you probably don't need the whole extended version of ChatGPT. you can use a smaller version of that. So the way I see it and the way I see it going, that yes, I upload PDFs to ChatGPT, to Perplexity and everything. I anonymize it if there's no sensitive information in it. But the next phase will be, I'm not going to these platforms online. I'm going to do it from my own desktop, basically. So that's, I would say, is the exciting sort of development in AI. Cool. I need a beer. I need a beer. I need a pint.
Yeah, absolutely. I've taken tons of notes, especially around the video side of things, which is the bit that I've not been using. Because them that knows me will know I do not have a face that suits video content. So, some AI intervention that kind of Brad Pitt me a little bit is going to be useful for me. Definitely get a face for video. Rennie, that's been great. That's been really, really good.
I'll answer that question from Michael. N8N. I've used N8N. I actually paid for it as well. N8N is basically creating your own AI agents. So you can create your own chatbots, for example. I've used it. I paid for it. I find it fascinating. I also used Replit, which is sort of similar in that sense. So that's a way where you can create your own tool, basically your own AI tool that is trained on your instructions and limitations and everything. I love N8N. I think it's beautiful. I think it's, again, very limited, 20, although they raised the price, or they lowered the prices actually in the last couple of weeks or so. I also use Zapier and make.com. Those are the tools that you can use to automate workflows. So AI and automation go hand in hand. And again, I've used AI to automate workflows. I described my pain points in the business, my bottlenecks in the business, and I asked AI, surely there must be a better way of dealing with emails, documents, webinars, and all that sort of stuff. And it really helped me. I mean, the time is too short to explain a little bit more, but yeah, there's lots of tools out there to sort of make life a lot easier for people with limited time like we have.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, just conscious of the time now. Has anybody else got any other questions before we wrap up? Any other questions for Rennie before we go? Either stick your hand up or just shout out.
I was just going to ask about, I think Rene, were you going to mention something about the chatbots? You said something you were going to briefly.
Yeah. I use Chatling. There's a chatbot on my website. Chatling, it's called. I pay $15 a month. And again, I've trained it on I basically said, here is my website, my what do you call that? All my website pages. Here is the documentation I have. If people ask a question about the courses and everything, you can find it here. If people are asking questions that's not related to mice, use this. And what I don't like about chatbots is people ask a question and straight away the chatbot asks, what is your email address? And sure enough, it did it with my Chatling as well. What is your email address? And I gave it the instruction to say, I don't want you to ask people for their email address. Ask at least 3 questions to the clients before you start asking for the email address. And basically, I tried it myself and I said, do you offer SEO training? And instead of coming back, yeah, we do offer what's your email address, which is a bit salesy. It basically said, yeah, we do. Can you tell me a little bit more about your business so we can create you a bespoke proposal? I thought, that's a lot better. So it's all, and I don't have technical know-how and everything, but it's really easy to sort of create something that is bespoke to your business.
Brilliant, thank you.
Does that answer your question? Yeah. So
I
chat
think
links
chatbots
and lots of other things.
I think chatbots are coming a long way now. They're not far away from being conversational, which is interesting. However,
No.
I did a poll on LinkedIn about chatbots and asked, if you were given the option, and I used a utility company, if you were given the option when you phoned your utility company to go straight to a human or
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
to a chatbot, which would you take? And like 98% went straight for the human.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's hope for, there's hope
Yeah,
for us
exactly.
yet.
I did see an article in preparation for tonight. I did see an article about Gordon Ramsay's Michelin star restaurant. He's got a chatbot on his website, and not a chatbot. It's actually when you phone the restaurant, you're actually speaking to a chatbot, which is very human, and a lot of people don't even realize that they're not talking to a human. And I remember a YouTube video from probably 10 years ago from Google that a bot was phoning a hair salon in America, and the robot was able to book a hair appointment talking to a living person. The living person had no idea she was talking to
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. So things have moved
Wow.
on since then as well. So,
Absolutely.
but we are real. Stuart is real. I'm self is real. And I always say, I did something for schools not so long ago. I said, yes, artificial intelligence is important. However, emotional intelligence, speaking to people, communicating with people is very important as well.
Right. Excellent. Rene, that's been absolutely brilliant. I know I've got a ton of homework to go and do just now, so thanks very much for that.
No problem.
And thanks everybody else for coming along. And we will see you next year. Fantastic. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rene.
feel free to
Appreciate
link
it.
that. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.